Hi everybody, it's Wendy from Cinnamon Sweet Shop, and today I'm going to be making a gingerbread cake. Now it's a really good recipe that I'm making, and what makes this one stand out from some of the other ones you see is, well, one, it's clean eating, but two, we're going to be using real ginger in this recipe. We're also going to be using powdered ginger as well. But also I'm using a whole wheat pastry flour, some almond milk, but you can use soy milk or any other kind of healthier milk you want. And if you're not trying to keep this clean eating, well, you can use anything you want. I'm using some molasses. Now I like to use blackstrap molasses. I have 2 eggs. This is not a vegan recipe, but if you do want to make this vegan, you can use an egg substitute such as aquafaba, baking powder, baking soda. I also have some stevia that we're going to add in just a little bit, coconut sugar, and here I'm using the Earth Balance Vegan Buttery sticks. As I said, it's not a vegan recipe, but I'm using this because it's a little healthier. Well, actually it's a lot healthier than butter. For spices, cinnamon, ginger, cloves, and a little bit of ground up black pepper. So gather up all these ingredients and come on right back. Now I'm going to prepare the pan, and I'm using an 8" by 8" square pan. I sprayed it with some vegetable spray real thoroughly, and then I'm going to flour it, and by that I mean just going to sprinkle in some flour and just go around to make sure there's a thin layer of flour just coating the bottom, and I also want to make sure I get the sides real well so that this cake doesn't stick. I'm going to whisk together the flour, the baking soda, baking powder, all of the dried spices. Now this is actually grated ginger. And if you're using a salted butter, like the Earth Balance Vegan Buttery sticks, they come salted and unsalted. But if you're going to use salted, you don't have to add any salt at all. You could do it to taste. But if you're using an unsalted butter, you're going to want to add some salt. And I do have the measurements down at the recipe link below. In the mixer, I'm going to add in the sugar, the stevia, or stevia, however it's pronounced, and butter that's been softened, or in my case the Earth Balance Vegan Buttery sticks, but you can use the butter if you don't have that, or Smart Balance or any other brand. Salt, but you want it softened at room temperature, and we're going to cream this together until it's fluffy, approximately 2 to 3 minutes. Next I'm going to add in the eggs, 1 egg at a time, and let it beat in until it's thoroughly combined, and then add the second one. Then I'm going to add in the molasses. Now don't forget to scrape down the sides of the bowl as needed to make sure all of this is mixed in. Now here's where I'm going to be adding the dry ingredients in 3 additions and the milk in 2. So we're going to do 1/3 of the flour mixture. Blend that in. Then I'm going to put in half the milk. One-third more of the flour. The rest of the milk, and the last third of the flour. Now this is going to be a bit liquidy. It's supposed to be that way, and I'm going to pour this in my pan. Now I have that oven preheated at 350 degrees, and I'm going to bake this for about 30 to 35 minutes or when a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. Now, you want to let the cake cool completely, and I'm going to finish it off. Now, you could just sprinkle it with a little bit of powdered stevia or confectioner sugar. I'm trying to keep this on the clean eating side. I'm going to just put a dollop of coconut cream. What I did with this is I took a can of coconut cream, and this is not the same thing as coconut milk. The coconut cream is actually the thick fat that lies on the top of the coconut milk. There's really no liquid in this at all. And if you're lucky enough to be able to get hold of this, I get it at Trader Joe's, but other brands have it as well. So if you're lucky enough to get this, use it. If not, you could use the coconut milk and just scoop out the top fat layer of 2 cans, which would equal 1 can of coconut cream. I did mix this 1 can with 2 tablespoons of honey and half a teaspoon of, or not about a teaspoon of vanilla extract. When you mix it, you'll notice it's a little bit thinner. It's not a piping type of frosting. So I like to then either refrigerate it or even freeze it to thicken it up a little bit. But even so, it's not going to hold its shape. I also took some gingerbread cookies. And I do have a video on my gingerbread cookie dough, which I will link below and above. And I took this very tiny cookie cutters. Now this was a set of cookie cutters that I bought from Wilton. You can use any shape you want, any size, but you don't want it too big to overpower the cakes. And I cut these cakes 2 inch by 2 inch. And I'm going to take just like a spoonful of the coconut cream. Just put a dollop on there. Again, it's going to run, so I don't want to put too much on. It'll run down the side of the cake. And, you know, this could be sweet enough without a whole lot of cream on top as well. Then I have a fresh nutmeg, and I'm just going to go over it with some fresh nutmeg. You could leave the nutmeg off, or you could even use nutmeg that is already ground up that you bought. And then I'm just going to put a cookie on each one. And then refrigerate this because you don't want the whipped cream to thin out again, or the coconut cream to thin out again, and then you can serve. Now for this recipe, all my other recipes and much more, make sure you go to my website linked below. Subscribe to this channel. I have so much more coming up for you guys for the holidays and even for after. I'm actually already thinking of Valentine's Day. So make sure you subscribe to this website, and I'll see you next time.